What cultural mechanisms, education, finance, technology, and more, are needed for everyone to live by the formula? How would this impact the isms in our culture and religion?
Again, you will find that people will move toward more of the idea of direct spirituality rather than the religious isms, as you say. The idea of following the formula will impact everything in your society because you will find that there will be paths of least resistance and easier ways, more synchronous ways of doing things. You will be inspired to create new opportunities, new circumstances, new pathways, new situations by which things can be accomplished rather than assuming that they have to be accomplished in a lot of the old-fashioned same ways that you used to. So following the formula will open up the possibilities and probabilities of how you can manage things and get things done, probably in new ways than you have ever thought of before.
And could you elaborate on one of the five laws? What you put out is what you get back, especially considering that it's often interpreted in our societies in a penal sense, as if you deserve the harm that you get because of something that you did wrong. Could you shed some light on this?
The idea of what you get back being reflective of what you put out is simply another way of understanding that there is no outside, that everything you do has consequences for yourself because there is no outside. So the idea is that every action that you take in some way, shape, or form will create a scenario, a circumstance, a situation, an energy, a state of being that in some way, shape, or form will eventually create a situation in your life, whether you be still alive or afterwards, that will force you to face the consequences of the choices that you made, even if that takes you all the way into life review when you leave the physical reality. There is no way to avoid any action that you take or any consequence of any action that you take because there is no outside, and especially in spirit, there is no longer any sense of separation between you and others. Therefore, everything you do, in a sense, is felt by you, experienced by you, even if initially it seemed as if it was experienced by others. So you will experience it one way, shape, or form because, again, everything you do is happening in your own universe, is contained within your own universe. There is no outside to lose anything in.
So, the idea would be everyone goes through life review, right?
Yes,
So everyone experiences the consequences and the effects of all of the things that they've done as a physical being in a particular lifetime.
yes, it is not a punishment, it is an observation, it is a lesson, but it is unavoidable. Because just because there may seem to be a temporal delay in physical reality doesn't mean you have avoided the consequence, doesn't mean you have avoided the experience. Everything you do becomes part of the fabric of existence in terms of information. And especially after you leave physical reality, after you expand back into spirit, there is no longer any temporal barrier to prevent you from experiencing the direct consequence of every action you have ever taken, even in physical reality. So you will be facing those consequences so that you can learn the lessons and decide for yourself what you would like to choose after that. This is inevitable and automatic for everyone. It's simply the way existence works because there is no outside. So you cannot avoid anything, not ultimately. You may delay it temporarily in physical reality, but that's it.
So I think one time you spoke about the idea of like a soul being put on ice in a sense, or if the behavior during the physical incarnation has been especially heinous, that there is a way that you're taken through life review that is meaningful and the person can cope with what they're being shown or experiencing.
Yes, it can be handled very gently. It can even be somewhat, quote unquote, delayed temporarily while a soul may need to rest or heal from intense trauma in physical life. But inevitably, the soul will be repaired to the point where it will then face its life review. But this will be done by the assistance of spirit guides, angelic teams, soul family. You will always have help. And when you are properly prepared, then you will be allowed to experience your life review so that you can learn the lessons and adopt the lessons to yourself so you can make decisions and choices for what you would like to do thereafter. So it doesn't mean it has to happen automatically immediately. Sometimes the soul may require a little bit of healing and rest in the afterlife before it can face the understanding of and the experiences of the life review. So it's always done in a way that will be to the most benefit of the soul.
Yes, that's good. This person's saying, we are God, consciousness, all that is. Ultimately, we are one. I understand this, yet I'm still a bit confused. If we are one, how do we also have individual souls, each with unique dreams, purposes, and missions? Our minds are also distinct. Can you elaborate on how we are both one and the individual?
This is obvious. In the same way that on Earth you may have people working together as a team and therefore have a team consciousness, a team goal, a team focus, and yet the team is made up of individuals who have their own life paths, their own desires, their own preferences, yet you have agreed to work together in a kind of a common direction. So this is not really mysterious. And again, it's not this or that, it's this and that. You are all one, but the way the one can express itself as individual souls. And individual souls, each having their own life path, enhance the ability of the one to perceive and experience itself from all these different perspectives. So just because you are individual souls doesn't mean that you're not also one. And just because you're all one doesn't mean you can't experience yourself as the one, as individual perspectives and individual souls. That's all a soul is a different perspective the one has of itself. So there are an infinite number of perspectives that the one can have, that all that is can have of itself. And each and every one of those perspectives is a conscious being, a conscious soul. That's simply the way it works because everything is consciousness. So a perspective of all that is actually equates to an autonomous individual soul. That's what you are, a perspective that all that is has of itself. And yet it doesn't take away from your autonomy because every perspective that all that is has equates to an autonomous conscious being.
Because everything has consciousness, right?
Yes, yes.
So,
Everything is consciousness.
yes, right.